about to go on a rant, and if you're going to take umbrage with what I'm about to say, or angry with it, or upset with it, I certainly want you to truly listen and understand what I'm saying before you get offended by what I'm saying. What I'm not about to say in any way, shape, or form is I'm not going to blame anyone for Tom Schweik's death. All of the actions and reactions and maneuvering politically or otherwise was never meant for Tom Schweik to take his own life. I do not think that Tom Schweik took his life because he was suffering from some mental illness, and the pressure got too big in his own head, and who knows why. I don't think anybody that I'm about to talk about wanted or thought he would take his own life. Very similar to the way a junior high or a high school bully thinks that somebody is going to take their own life because they go home and they feel so alone and so trapped that they end up taking the life. Is the bully responsible for the life taken? No. But is the bully wrong for bullying? Yes, absolutely. So, without further ado, let's first back up and start with this commercial that was airing in limited run that was directed at Auditor Tom Schweik and his race to be governor.
Elections have consequences. Tom Schweik? Like him? No. Is he a weak candidate for governor? Absolutely. Just look at him. He could be easily confused for the deputy sheriff of Mayberry. But more importantly, he can be manipulated. That's why Senator Claire McCaskill and President Obama enlisted my help to meddle in another Republican primary with Schweik as our pawn. You see, Schweik and McCaskill are tied at the hip. Schweik even gave money to McCaskill's campaign. Schweik is an obviously weaker opponent against Democrat Chris Koster. Once Schweik obtains the Republican nomination, we will quickly squash him like the little bug that he is and put our candidate, Chris Koster, in the governor's mansion.
That ad...
Paid for by Citizens for Fairness in Missouri.
Sorry about that.
Treasurer.
That ad, Citizens for Fairness in Missouri, that's who paid for the ad. By the way, until February 16th, that committee's deputy treasurer was Catherine Hanaway's campaign treasurer, James C. Thomas III of Kansas City. Thomas has close ties with Catherine Hanaway's campaign consultant, Jeff Rowe. Jeff Rowe's firm, Axiom Strategies of Kansas City, is well known for playing rough and tumble. Hanaway was asked about this ad, and she was quoted as saying, "I don't know who it was. I don't know who produced it." She says, "It was not our campaign." Citizens for Fairness is the ones who paid for that ad. Now, that ad, that's bullying. And there was a philosophy out there that Tom Schweik was, while you could rattle him. You could get him angry. You could get him furious. All you have to do is get him to bark out on tape or something along those lines, and all of a sudden you can claim he has a temper and he's this, and all of a sudden, right? So who was that ad produced for? That ad was produced to get a rise out of Tom Schweik. That ad is a bullying ad. That ad is basically going after the fact that Tom Schweik was a short man and thin and a long neck, and he looked like Barney Fife. And so is there anything other than bullying with that ad? Did that ad tell you he was voted for guns, he voted against guns, he was for tax increases, he was for Obamacare before he was against it? What did that ad tell you other than he's weak and he's small and therefore he can't play with the rest of us? So that's one. Two, now let's talk about this whisper campaign. I find myself in a very strange position because I find myself I listened to and talked to a lot of political operatives over the weekend. I talked to many candidates, many political operatives, and Tony Messenger, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reporter, does not need me to defend him or come to his defense or to defend his honor in any way, shape, or form. But what Tony Messenger did was Tony Messenger told what Tom Schweik was telling him. Tony Messenger didn't say John Hancock was an anti-Semite. Tony Messenger did not say John Hancock was going around starting a whispering campaign. Tony Messenger was telling people and wrote and told us on the show on Friday what Tom Schweik thought. That's what Tony Messenger was doing. And for John Hancock, the political operative and semi-talk show host, who is somehow offended, he writes in his release, now some political opponents, particularly liberal Post-Dispatch columnist Tony Messenger, are using this tragic incident as an opportunity to criticize me and to smear the Republican Party. These attacks are not only disgusting, they are wrong. First of all, Tony Messenger is not a columnist. He's the editorial page editor. That's a big difference. Second of all, what Tony Messenger is doing is just basically reporting what he was talking to the man who killed himself about. He released an audio of the voicemail, and then on the show took painstaking time to tell us exactly the conversations he was having with Tom Schweik. As opposed to, and let's take John Hancock at his word. Let's say there's not a malicious bone in John Hancock's mind. In his own words, he says he may have mentioned that Tom Schweik was Jewish. Here is a man, John Hancock, who is a world-class political operative. He worked with Tom Schweik for a time. He now sits as the Republican head of the state party. There are two Republican statewide elected officials currently, Peter Kinder and Tom Schweik. Are you going to tell me that John Hancock didn't know that Tom Schweik was Jewish? Let's assume, for argument's sake, that just for this argument, that John Hancock got it wrong. He's either the dumbest person in the world or ignorant. Either one, he should not be running a statewide party if he does not know. It's not that he didn't know the religious affiliation of Tom Schweik. It's that if he didn't know, why was he promoting a falsehood? And what was it? Why did you think Tom Schweik was Jewish? You admitted, you told some people he was Jewish. Why? What in his background, while you were working with him, did you think the man was Jewish? And since he's not Jewish, you were either spreading lies or misinformation. As a world-class political operative, it's insulting to world-class political operatives that you didn't know the man's religion and or were just making it up. Why is it you're such a brilliant tactician? Why is it that you didn't know the man was Jewish and basically were either one, lying, or two, ignorant of the fact? And why are you then spreading information that is wrong? If you got that wrong, how are we supposed to trust you on anything else? You're a world-class political operative. Why are you telling people wrong things? We're going to talk more about this in the 9 o'clock hour. But John Hancock was caught with his pants down. John Hancock is not the reason why Tom Schweik killed himself. Catherine Hanaway and any of these other people who were behind this ad are not the reason Tom Schweik killed himself. However, it put light on a very dirty little secret in politics. And what is the outcome? What is the fallout from all of this? And where does the party and the state go from here? All of that we'll talk about in the 9